Well, this came to me very strongly just lately. I was thinking, I heard somebody talk about loving God, and that we should love God, and how, and I got to think, well, now they talk about that. Oh, is all your heart, soul, strength, mind, health, whatever it is. Now that's everything. And what about passion? Do you love God passionately? And I think, well, what's passion? You know, how do I love passionately? And then I thought about the first girl I ever loved. And boy, there was a lot of passion. It was a devotion. And I remember how I sort of swiped the family car to get down to see her. I'd do anything. I really violated something, but I'd do it to get there to be with her. And really great passion. And to love God like that? I remember the feeling I had was sort of, in my head, it was sort of, you know, just sort of shake me a little bit. And to love God like that? That's what worship's meant to be about, to love God. And the time of concentrating on that. And boy, it doesn't give any of that. I thought about a lady in the church in Berkeley. I could tell you all about her, but I can't tell you her name. I mean, I can't bring it to my mind. And I know she's dead. But she lived over in a modest house, and she was in charge of arranging the flowers for Sunday worship. And I'd often go to church on Saturday afternoon. I'd be alone there, and I'd go in. I'd like to sit in there, and I'd like to see some of the people I know would be in the pews and think about them and maybe pray for them a little bit and so on. And we were there together a lot. We didn't not say much. And one day I said to her, you know, I think you're being used. I think we've got to get you some help, or get a committee, you know, and you don't have to do all this work yourself. Every Saturday you're here. And she looked at me, and a shocked look came over her, and she said, oh, do you really think so? Oh, please, she said, this is my time for loving God. This is the high point of the week for me. This is how I love God. And I thought, boy, howdy, that's a long ways from having that damn job of taking those flowers down there and getting them arranged some way or another, you know. And she really felt that way. And I was so glad that she told me. I was, you know, ready to engineer a little different arrangement to spare her. She had an old Chevy with a two-door Chevy. She'd come with the rear end of that all filled up with flowers. I remember a lot of work she put into it.
Well, let's talk about fear. Because it seems to me that the early church used fear quite effectively to keep people interested. And I remember my first assignment in philosophy in college was to write on the nature of evil. What is your perception of evil and its position within Christianity?
The problem of evil, which is called theodicy in technical theologians, is the fundamental question of all religions. Because it is the question of, if you have a God who is all good and all powerful, why isn't he doing something on this? And that is a big question. And that's the question that hit people real hard when they have a terrible tragedy in their family. A child is killed or something like that. And the Christian faith is the only one of the major religions that doesn't offer an answer in the sense of working something out, sort of logical stuff. It presents a God who has been buffaloed also, and who has entered into that suffering, entered into that evil, and in a sense conquered it. And this is why
But not vanquished it.
But not vanquished it, no.
Do we have to accept evil because without it there cannot be good? I mean, it's like saying you cannot have light without dark. Do we have to come to a point of acceptance, or should we rather come to a point of saying maybe we really don't understand what is really going on here? I mean, well, which is more comfortable, acceptance or saying I'll never know?
I think acceptance is kind of dangerous because the level of acceptance. We accept what we ought not accept. And people have said this about social evil. You know, well, for a long time there's regarded war this way. You know, you can't do anything about it. It's an evil, and it's there. But you can do something about it.
Yeah.
And there are evils you can do stuff about. But there are evils that, so far as we know, we don't know how we can do anything about them. It's just having a decent amount of humility in face of this stuff, and say, I'm only a man, you know, and I pray about this, and I've thought about it, and I work on it, and I just have to say, it's mighty strange. It's mighty strange, but I still believe.
Do you think God has a sense of humor?
Oh, he does. He has a wonderful sense of humor. He is a sense of humor. Sense of humor is mostly is possible only, it seems to me, if you have some perspective about yourself.
Yes.
And if you laugh at yourself.